Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, a place where we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. Joining me once again, my co-host Tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, what's good, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Watching the Canada match over here against Peru. It was a boring first half and maybe like 20 more minutes in the second half, but now it's getting interesting. I didn't notice that, but you told me that the referee fainted twice due to heat stroke, which is it's crazy. So stay hydrated.
But nah, man, we're here to discuss and preview Mexico's upcoming Jornada Dos, round 2 match in Group B against Venezuela. A match that's going to be very, very, I think, fought very, very close. Both teams with 3 points after coming away with victory in both matches. Venezuela ultimately beating Ecuador 2-1, while 3 claimed a narrow victory 1-0 over Jamaica. In otherwise, I think for the most part, 60-70% of that match was dominated by the 3. So two wins for both these teams going into the second jornada, hoping to get a win and pretty much solidify their advancement into the next stage of this tournament, man. But as we go into this episode previewing this match, how do you expect Mexico to line up?
All right. So again, I think that nothing will change significantly. Of course, the biggest submission will be Edsonalvarez, who's out of injury. But Julio Gonzalez will continue to be the goalkeeper. I think we're going to see the same backline with Jorge Sanchez at the right, Cesar Montes and Johan Vasquez at the center, and Gerardo Arteaga as the left back. As I said, Edsonalvarez is out, and perhaps for the entire rest of the tournament. But Luis Romo will be taking his position, subbing in for Edsonalvarez. I think we're going to see Luis Chavez and Orbelin Pineda once again. And top 3, we're going to see Orel Antuna, Santigimenez, and Julian Quiñones. I have the feeling that jimmylozano is going to marry this specific formation, this specific squad. Whereas if it's going to be a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, that's a different opinion, different discussion. But I don't think we shall see any big changes against Venezuela.
Yeah, and I don't think any big changes are needed. I think they performed decently against Jamaica. I think Cesar Montes has been mentioned that he's going to be taking the armband going forward in this tournament as captain now that Edson's out. And I guess one point here, we like a little bit of controversy here. Luis Chavez, ever since the World Cup, is he one of those players that you feel is like Jimmylozano from the 2018 World Cup, living off that goal? Is he living off that goal from against Saudi Arabia, that free kick, or is he critical to Mexico's success there in the midfield?
That is a great question and totally valid. I do want to preface my answer with the big difference between Luis Chavez and Irving Lozano is that Luis Chavez while he is an offensive player, the sheer weight of scoring goals and being present at the score level isn't necessarily on him, right, as it is on Jimmylozano or Santigimenez. Nonetheless, I do want to say that he has had some quiet matches with Mexico, specifically over this summer, right? He wasn't necessarily outstanding against Jamaica. He wasn't necessarily outstanding against Brazil. And I don't even think he played against Uruguay, if I'm not mistaken. And even before that, I mean, he wasn't a game changer against the USMNT in the final in the Nations League. And before that,
he's been quiet for a couple months, yeah, for sure.
So somewhat quiet, right? But I think Mexico plays different whenever he is on the pitch than when he's not. And the reason being is that a lot of the offensive transition for Mexico happens through his feet. I also see the value of having him for set pieces, right? So he is the official, set piece kicker for Mexico. And just the idea of having him around, outside of the box, waiting for those deflections from the opposing defense, puts him in a position that can contribute to Mexico's score. But this is just me being a little biased towards liking Luis Chavez and how Mexico looks with him. But I see the point that you're making, which is, are we pressuring him enough, or are we giving him a lot of mulligans?
Yeah, no, but I think it's fair that you mentioned he is not a lot of his work, and his work rate can't be questioned. He's a horse in the midfield. I agree with you that Mexico does look different when he plays. Fair that you say he's not an offensive player, so we're not always going to see him on the score sheet, see him on the assist sheet. But no, it's just something I wanted to bring up because it is one of those golazos he scored, just like Chucky scored in 2018. He scored one in 2022, and he has been quiet for the last, I want to say 6-8 months. At least for 3.
You're right. I mean, we expect more from him, right? He's next to Edson Alvarez. He's perhaps the perhaps the most or the second most influential player with
Yep.
Mexico in the recent years, even ahead of Santigimenez, if you ask me, at this moment, right, at this
Right.
specific moment. But yeah, totally worth calling it out, man.
Yeah, so as far as Venezuela, man, we think they're going to line up pretty identical to what they played against Ecuador. Why change something that isn't broken? Romo in the back four of Navarro, Osorio, Ferraresi, and Gonzalez in the midfield. Herrera, Martinez up top, Cáceres in the middle, Machis on the right, Sotelo on the left, and up top Rondon. Rondon, who is very, very dangerous. We see him for Pachuca. We see him, how he played against Ecuador. A very dangerous player that's definitely gonna cause a lot of problems for the two center
Yeah,
backs. Montes and Vasquez will be an interesting challenge for them because, I think similar to Antonio, he's a very similar player to him. And Antonio, we saw, was a menace for Jamaica. So
yeah,
definitely a 4-2-3-1 is what we're suspecting for Venezuela. And it's going to be, a very difficult battle for the back two for Mexico there.
yeah.
As far as head-to-head with Venezuela, Mexico has never lost an official match. They've won 14 matches, drawn 4, and lost 2, but those have been friendlies. And they've the last, I guess, 5 matches they had. The most recent one was in 2019 of June. Mexico won 3-1. Before that, it was a Copa America match, 1-1 draw in 2016. Before that, it was 3 friendlies, all a victory to Mexico 3-1, and then before that, it was a 1-1 tie and a 2-2 tie with Venezuela dating back to 2010. So they're the most recent matches with Venezuela, definitely favoring Mexico, right?
Yeah, like if you look at the statistics, all of them are in favor of Mexico. It's been what freaking around 20 matches historically speaking. Most of them Mexico dominating every single one of them. Nonetheless, though, I think this is the time for Venezuela to make a statement and finally get their win, their first official win against Mexico, because the last one was back in 1982 during a Central American and Caribbean games, which at least nowadays it's only played with under 20 or under 23
Right.
players. So Venezuela hasn't defeated Mexico officially, technically. But I think this is their biggest chance to make it happen, because that top 4 players they have with Soteldinho, Cuchi, Darwin Machis, Cáceres, and Rondon, it's really a menace. Soteldinho is one of those players that has a lot of talent. We saw him very little with Tigres, but when he was on the pitch, he was one of those, very, very talented with his feet, super caracolero. He's one of those that he likes to excite the crowd. And so there was a couple of instances against Ecuador that I saw him, going one-on-one with the defenders and breaking through them. Like, I was impressed at his work rate and how strong he is, even his size, because he's very small. And he was able to like go unscathed against 2 big Ecuadorian defenders. So very interesting to see. And if
Very
Venezuela has a
agile.
chance, yeah, and there's a chance for Venezuela to make a statement win against Mexico is today.
Venezuela, before this match, was on a 4-game winless streak. So they hadn't won since October 2023 against Chile in 3-0 World Cup qualifying. But that had been a World Cup qualifying tie with Ecuador 0-0, with Peru 1-1, lost to Italy recently in March 2-1, and then that draw earlier in March 0-0 with Guatemala. But interestingly enough, they are, however, unbeaten 6 consecutive meetings against CONCACAF teams. Conceding only 1 in those 6 encounters. That was back in November 2022 against Panama. So, I mean, they're obviously not playing the biggest and brightest from CONCACAF. Not that there's a lot of big and bright in CONCACAF, but they're 6 win matches against CONCACAF opposition. And like you said, this can be their opportunity to make a statement win over Mexico. But it's going to be difficult, as for Venezuela. 13 matches in which Mexico, or 14 matches that Mexico has won now against them. So, looking good, I guess, if you're looking on it on paper, stat-wise for Mexico. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult than, past history has shown. Mexico, Venezuela. This is Venezuela squad that's doing very well in World Cup qualifying in CONMEBOL. So it's going to be an interesting battle for first place there, and one that, will have big repercussions to see who will play who in the next round. I guess the big question, man, other than Edson's injury, obviously, Santigimenez, will he get on the scoreboard this time? Will he break that goal drought with Mexico?
That is a very, very tough question to answer. I don't know if you saw the most recent press conference from Jimmylozano, Julio Gonzalez, and they asked Jimmylozano, hey, what do you say to Santigimenez, who is on a huge drought with Mexico, not scoring? And he essentially said that, hey, he keeps telling Santigimenez to just, focus on enjoying the matches, focus on enjoying the experience. and also just reminding him that even though he's not scoring or making his presence get felt on the score sheet, that he's contributing to the overall strategy of the team. He also acknowledged the fact that they have failed to provide him with plenty of balls inside the box, which we all know that Santiago Gimenez excels at finishing. So at least it's good to hear that Jimmy Lozano has some auto criticism happening, and that he realizes that he's not setting up Santiago Gimenez for success, even though that we're pretty much making sure that he gets all the time he can get as a starting striker. So will he break the drought this match? Very tough. I think he won't. I think he will continue with his scoreless streak, and it's a tough one because I would love for him to score, but I just don't see how Uriel Antuna and Julian Quiñones and the rest of them can provide him with the balls,
Right.
the crosses, the balls, and the precision he needs to be on the right spot at the right time.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we all want to see him break that score drought, but with the formation that they play, the style they play, it is difficult. Before we wrap up this episode at the end, score predictions. What do you got?
I'm gonna go with a tie, and I think it's gonna be scoreless, dude. I think it's gonna be 0-0 tie.
Wow. I also think it's gonna be a tie. I think it's gonna be 1-1.
There we go.
So it's gonna come down to the final jornada for this group. I feel, which we kind of predicted that going into this, it's gonna be a very tough group. But Adrian, as we wrap up this episode, dude, where can listeners find us?
They can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, you can also find us on Instagram and TikTok. We post memes, latest news, and our shorts of our videos.
Yeah, so be sure to follow us on your preferred social media platform of choice, and let us know in the comments below who do you got for this match. This is going to be an exciting fixture, one of the key fixtures for Mexico there in Group B. One that they'll be happy with getting. Obviously, happy with 3 points. Might be content with 1 point, but if results don't go Mexico's way here, it can get complicated advancing from this group. But let us know below who do you got. Do you think Santiago breaks goal drought? And like interacting with you guys. So let us know in the comments. There, man. Good episode, bro. See you in the next one.
Always a pleasure, my guy. Take it easy.
Likewise. See you, bro.